twins. So um, I just have to turn every couple of minutes just to make sure she's not rolling around. Okay. I had twins 5 months ago, so they're starting to
My
crawl.
goodness.
Yeah. I have five
Wow.
kids. Oh, I'm a busy lady. Everyone can do it. Okay. So the course overview is we're going over keeping every lead, following up with your leads, strengthening your relationships, and qualifying potential buyers and sellers. This is the QR code for the Ignite workbook, which I'm sure you guys are well aware of. Okay, so today's agenda, we're going to go over what is lead follow-up, how to lead follow-up, host lead follow-up. We're going to do a recap, and then we're going to go over a daily success system. Okay, so this is just a chart going over the likelihood of a move, and I kind of went over this just briefly when I was kind of telling my story of how I came to be where I am today. And so this is like every 7 to 10 years is an estimate of when people typically move. So from my experience, a majority of my people, and again, this is very situational, because I've had people who bought a house and then called me, 2 weeks later, this is real, and got a divorce. And so, I had to sell it right away. But what I see most often is people typically live in their first home for 3 to 5 years. And so usually around that mark, I've been seeing my clients reach out to me about, hey, can we sell our house? And I've had a lot of people sell within 1 to 2 years too. And this is saying roughly 7 to 10 years. I've only been in real estate for about 5 years. So I can't speak on if that is accurate, but I know that a lot of my people who bought in 2020 and 2021 are now selling those properties because they have outgrown their home or they've decided to move to a different state or a different town. So lead follow-up, this is just a framework of following up with leads. Possible business, I think like with Candace, that's, networking, talking to people. You never, someone could, with leads, there's so many different time frames. I have people who I talk to and then we put in an offer, the day we meet. And then I have other people who all the time reach out to me and they're like, hey, we talked 5 years ago. I'm now ready to buy a house. I fixed my credit, I got a new job, so on and so forth. So just because someone isn't qualified right now doesn't mean that they can't and won't be qualified in the future. You want to keep that possible business and you want to keep that lead because, again, even though they may not be ready right now, they will be ready in the future. So you've got to keep them in your network, and they might have a friend or a family member who's ready to, purchase or buy. So you want to harness that relationship, and you want to tell people, hey, I'm available to help anyone, anyone you know. If you're not ready right now, that's okay. Tell all your friends and family about me. Probable business is, again, kind of what I just went over, is following up with leads. So again, even if someone's not ready right now, keep following up with them because you never know if circumstances change. Also, you want to keep following up with them because if you did talk, last year or even a couple months ago, they may not remember your name because you had one interaction. So you want to keep on following up with that lead and make sure that you're there and you've been kept keeping in contact with them so that when they're ready, you're ready and you're aware of that. Profitable business is, of course, getting that lead to close on a home. Do you have any questions on this? If you have any questions, just unmute yourself. Feel free to interrupt me. It's no problem. If you aren't first or second in their mind, you probably won't get the business. So again, similar to what I went over, and you got to keep following up with people because if you've had one interaction with them, you may not have stuck with them. I mean, even if it was a 5-minute conversation, and they may want to shop around. So you want to make sure that you're following up with people. You're showing them, hey, I'm here, I'm available, I want your business. And you also want to be genuine. So, when you go, we'll go over this more in the PowerPoint, but when you go to follow up with people, you want to tailor that email so that it doesn't seem like a generic email that you're sending to everyone. You want to be like, hey, how's your family doing? How's everything going with, you know, getting qualified for a loan? Or, let's say someone was like, well, I'm trying to retire in a year. You can say, how's everything going with your plan to retire? So again, when you go to follow up with these people, just tailor it, make it seem genuine, let them know you want their business, but also make it personable, not like you're just trying to, get their business. You want to help these people get into a home. It's not just about getting the sale, it's about getting them to meet their goal of home ownership. What's a lead? What's a contact? So a lead is a person whose contact information you receive either through they opted in to get information on a property or they were referred to you by another agent. It's someone that you have not met yet. A contact is a person whose contact information you've saved in your database and you've either met them in person or you've had a conversation with them. The fortune is in the follow-up mind share. So leads, it's saying there's 19 touches to connect per year. 4 touches is a quarterly phone call. So it's saying every 3 months, you should be reaching out to that lead. So kind of like what I was mentioning previously, you want to have a database of their information. I personally put in personal notes so that I can, again, have a genuine phone call with this person. And some people I don't reach out to quarterly. Again, this is kind of a case by case scenario and it depends on their situation. So, quarterly phone call, like I'll do that with my clients who are like, hey, I want to retire in a year because sometimes circumstances change and they decide to retire much earlier. Where sometimes I've had clients who are like, I'm due to have a baby soon, and I don't want to focus on moving until after I have the baby. And so, sometimes I'll reach out more than quarterly because they're having a baby in 3 months. So maybe I'll reach out every few weeks. Again, but you don't want to be overbearing at the same time. 12 touches, meaning a monthly email, a newsletter, a market report, or a video. With the 12 touches and the monthly emails, I believe there's a way in Command to set up marketing and to send out monthly newsletters. I know sometimes rather than just sending monthly newsletters, because I know some of my clients just delete it, they don't even read it. I'll send out a personal email similar to the phone call saying, hey, how's everything going? And then again, you want to kind of just tailor to their specific situation. 2 touches of promotional direct mail, such as like a magnet or a calendar, maybe a printed market report. They have all those mail-ins that you can do, and I've done them before. And you can even tailor them. So you can tailor them to leads, but people also send those just to like zip codes that you're specifically interested in servicing. 1 touch as in an annual event, party, movie screening. Oops, sorry, 1 second. Or get together. What are you doing? So there's a lot of different, this is Eleonora. There's a lot of different events that people do. I've seen agents do like homeless shelter get-togethers with clients to like serve the community, and which people really appreciate. And I've even had people be like, "Oh, I really like this agent because they do a lot and give back to the community." And I've also seen it where agents have like rented a brewery and done an event where everyone can just get together. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do. And, you know, get to know your clients, get to know their interests, and do something that you think everyone would enjoy. And that's also a good way to get face to face with your leads and your past clients so that, you know, they feel like they are trusting you and they feel like they know you and you are looking out for their best interests. Because a lot of my clients have turned into friends and we've gone to dinner together, you know, we've met each other's families. So, you know, again, this business is all about relationships and you want to be personable. People really do appreciate that. Okay, then it's saying one to cement. So a high value touch that solidifies the relationship you have just established and opens the door for future interactions. So as an example, following up with, you know, a buyer and them saying, hey, I'm going to be ready to buy in a month. You know, let's start looking at homes so that when I'm ready, you know, we've already seen a few places. And then contacts, trying to find, I'm going to move. So contacts, it's saying 36 to convert. So 4 touches, which are the phone calls, 26 touches, which is bi-weekly. Let me see if I can move me. Hold on. I don't know where my mouse went. There we go. Okay. 26 touches, which is bi-weekly emails offering some type of information of value to the consumer. So maybe if there's interest rates that have changed, anything like that that would affect their purchasing experience. Two, hold on. 2 touches such as events or get-togethers and parties. 4 touches such as promotional direct mail, again, like magnets, calendars, market reports, etc. Yay. And again, we went over this. So with leads, you want to get those 19 touches each year. So the more they hear your name, the more they see your name, they hear your voice, the more they're going to relate buying a house or selling a house to you specifically. So you want to just make sure you're putting yourself out there and following up with these people. Okay, considerations that you need to keep in mind for your lead follow-up program. Oops. What are your strengths when working with people? I'm trying to move my mouse. It's not. So I can read this. Okay. What are my strengths when working with people? How can I adapt the touches of 19 to connect to represent me? What are some reasons I might have for contacting the lead? What are some touches to do before and after a phone call? So again, reasons for contacting the lead. Maybe interest rates changed. Maybe they decreased. That's a good reason to reach out to a lead. Hey, I know you were waiting for interest rates to go down before continuing your house purchase. I see that the feds just dropped them. Because some people, you know, they're not aware of everything going on. So it's good to keep in contact and let them know. What are some touches to do before and after a call? So again, like emailing people and saying, hey, how's everything going with, you know, fixing your credit or whatever, you know, again, situational, whatever their reasoning is. How am I using conversations to let the person know I am in real estate, how to contact me, and how to refer business to me? So Candace gave a great example of this earlier. She's working right now as a server, and she's been telling everyone, you know, networking and handing out business cards. So, you know, along with handing out the business cards, you could say, you know, obviously they know how to contact you because you've got your email and your phone number on your business card. And then you could say, hey, I'm, you know, converting to full-time real estate. And if you have any friends or family or you know anyone, any coworkers or anyone, sorry, who's looking for a house or wants to sell, please let them know I'm available. I'm happy to help and I'd love to help them reach their goals. When is it best for me and my business to time block for lead follow-up? So that's one thing, definitely like you've got to fit it into your schedule. And maybe you'll say, what's a good time to reach out to my people? I'm going to block off Friday around lunchtime when most people who work 9 to 5 jobs are on lunch break. That way, there's a higher probability of them answering. Or maybe you do, Friday at 6 p.m. or middle of the week. You've got to just think what works best for you, but what's also going to create a higher probability of them answering. Because if you call, Monday at 9 a.m., people are probably at work. So you want to do it when you think it's a likely time that people are going to answer your call. And you also need to time block for yourself and say, hey, I'm going to give myself an hour at least each week to email, to make phone calls and follow up with all my leads. How much time should it take to reach out to a lead? What will I do to hold myself accountable? What do I need to make sure this happens? So, reaching out to a lead, generally I would say it's about a 5 minute phone call or 5 minutes to write, a tailored personal email. Holding yourself accountable would be block it in your schedule, write it in your calendar, and, maybe even tell, well, you might not have a transaction coordinator yet, but if you were to have a transaction coordinator, have them say, hey, remember you had an hour today at 9 a.m. to reach out to your leads. Making sure it happens. Again, you got to really hold yourself accountable. And that's one thing about real estate is, you're in full control of your own schedule. So anything with this job, you need to hold yourself accountable and make sure that you're doing what needs to be done. Because you're not going to have a boss who's saying, hey, make sure you call these people today. Like it's you need to be responsible and just make sure that you're taking care of this on your own. So what I do personally is I set reminders on my email and my phone. Sorry, 1 second. Come on, Annie. Come on. Okay, sorry. We all got cold, so now everyone's home, and was not planning for this, but everyone got sick. Okay, on to the next slide. So activity, design your annual 19 to connect touch plan. So with the 4 calls, texts, or conversations, make sure that you're connecting with every lead quarterly, offer something of value. And that doesn't mean like an object, it could mean a piece of information because knowledge is just as valuable as anything else. And then ask for referral. So, like I've been saying throughout this PowerPoint, you know, if someone's not ready to buy, they might have a sister who's ready to buy. They might have a friend, a coworker. So, I always say, okay, if someone's like, I've really enjoyed working with you, I'm sorry, but I'm not ready to buy right now. I've got to fix my credit. I'll say, that's okay. I'll be here to help whenever you're ready. I'm happy to help any friends or family or coworkers that you have that you think might be ready to buy or sell. I'm licensed in New Hampshire and Vermont. I do land, I do commercial, give them a synopsis of everything you do so that they know you can do all of these things. Because I've had plenty of times where someone's even referred me to their sister and they never bought. My original lead never bought, but their sister did. So, you've got to ask for those referrals because you're letting them know to think of you and to put your name out there. So it says cost, that doesn't cost anything. I mean, other than your phone plan, doesn't cost anything to send a call, to send a text or make a call or have a conversation if you see them in person. New Hampshire's a small state. I run into clients all the time and don't just say, hey, and walk away. I make sure that I stop and give them the time of having a full conversation so they know that they are important to me and I will make time for them. Annual occurrence, again, it said to do about 12 of those a year. So that's an email, a newsletter, a market report, or a video. So the plan, again, you can do your own thing, but just a few ideas. You can give them a birthday card. I've added some of my clients on Facebook, or whatever you are comfortable with. I've added some clients on Facebook, and when I know their birthday's coming up, I send a birthday card. You could also do for market reports, informative videos, informative emails, and a neighborhood newsletter. So again, I mentioned you want to be personal and genuine. So the birthday card's a nice way to do that. The other, in order to hit that 12, because you don't want to like overdo it. But for the 12, it's saying, basically you could send like a generic email that you could send to everyone. That way you're not spending hours and hours, making a video for each client or each lead. That would be a lot. So one personal thing or one or two personal things, and then everything else can just be on your email list of all your leads to send them a market report or video. Promotional direct mail, saying you should do about 2 of those a year. So like a local sports team schedule or an annual calendar. People do that all the time. I've even seen people who have kids who are in school, they'll sponsor the sports teams and put their information on the back of the jerseys, or they'll buy one of those banners that go in the gym or on the football field. So that would be a really good way to like directly promote yourself. And then one annual event a year. So again, some people do like a neighborhood cleanup in the park, or I've seen people do like a barbecue, or they host it at like an actual venue. So it'll change also throughout your career. Like maybe in the beginning, you're not going to rent a whole venue, but having a nice park cleanup or having a barbecue at a park or something would be a really nice way to get everyone together and to show your face to all your clients that you've helped, who have bought or sold, and all your clients who are still looking for a property. So this is part of your Ignite workbook. It's saying to come up with your own plan and then to put a monetary value of how much that plan might cost you. So, for example, the first two, the calls, texts, and conversations, and the emails and market report, that might not cost you anything. The video might cost you if you were to pay a photographer to create a video. But the two that are going to cost you is going to be mainly that promotional direct mail and the event. So just make your plan and then determine the cost. And you want it to make sense. You're not going to like bring everyone to the Four Seasons. You want it to make sense for your business. And you want it to just, again, be more about being personable rather than like showing off. I think that's been the best feedback that I've seen from people is like just having a low key get together for everyone to socialize because that's what it's about. So make an impact, focus on the value. So you've got the value proposition, the personal communication. Again, I've added some clients, and really this is whatever you're comfortable with, but I've added some clients on Facebook. And, now I see them moving into their homes and they're making renovations, they're having kids, or, they've started a farm. So being able to be there and say congratulations, again, it's a really good way to keep in touch with people and show them like you genuinely care about them, you care about their journey, you care about the fact that you were able to be a part of the process to help them get to where they are today. So it's been really nice because now that I'm at 5 years, like I see people getting married and having kids and starting their businesses. And you get just as excited for them because you were a big part of that. And that's what real estate's really all about is helping people meet their goals and, achieve the home ownership that they were looking for. Also, I just had a listing appointment on Monday, and the I helped my buyer buy a piece of land 5 years ago, and now he's built this beautiful house on it and he's selling it. So it's really nice to be able to go and see, it was just a bunch of trees. Now it's this beautiful house with a great yard. So it is really, really nice and rewarding. So you definitely want to, keep in touch with people so they can think of you when they go to sell it in several years. And then statistics and data, that's the last one. Lead follow-up communication. So potential lead sources are call-ins, like to the office, community events, open houses. I get a lot of clients from open houses. So, you just want to be, really helpful. And I know sometimes it can be hard and it depends on how much activity the open house gets. But I've had it where, maybe one person comes in at a time, and that gives you an opportunity to be really personable, to ask them if they have any questions. You don't want to just go to the open house and sit there and not say anything to people. Like, put yourself out there and say, hey, my name's Taylor. I'm the listing agent. Grab a refreshment if you're providing them. And if you have any questions, let me know. And then point out a couple things. Don't necessarily follow them around. Let it be genuine and just natural. And I'll say, the sellers did this, they added this trim, and, point out a couple of nice things that people would appreciate. And I've had that gain clients because people are like, wow, you're just, really attentive, and, people appreciate that. Then there's social media marketing. So, posting listings or even just posting updates. I know Candace had mentioned that she was making all of her, social media pages, which is great. And, it is something you have to keep up with. So I think that's the hardest part of it is like, also for social media, you should take out time. Like, okay, from 12 to 12:30 today, I'm gonna work on my social media. You definitely want to designate that time because it can be hard to just, it doesn't take long, but to make a post, it might take you just 5 or 10 minutes, but it's just nailing down that time and prioritizing it. So just make sure that you're holding yourself accountable, and you're, taking away and putting that time on your calendar to do these things like social media posts and calling clients. Then there's traditional marketing, your agent website, which is really important because you want to update that and put on new listings in the area. Calls out, past clients. Again, now that once you hit like 4 or 5 years, a lot of your business is going to be past clients. So that's super important to keep in touch with those people. Once you help someone buy a house or sell a house, it's not over from there. You want to keep in touch with them because they're going to be your future business too. Just because they're a past client doesn't mean they're not going to be a future client. I've had a lot of my past clients turn into future clients. Purchased leads is another lead source. Client referrals. So again, I've had my people who had a really good experience with me buying or selling a house have referred me to their friends and family. Signed call-in, blogs, or newsletters. So those are all ways that you can get lead sources. And we'll go over this, but you just want to be careful whenever you're calling people, because there's a do not call list that you have to go by in respect. And this is a couple of examples and a couple of ideas for calls. So statements or questions for calls. Why are you thinking about buying and selling? You want to be personal, but you also want to make this all about them and their journey. So why are you thinking about buying and selling? Tell me more about, because sometimes people will be really brief on the phone call. And they're like, hey, I just want to see this house. And, you really want to get down to, okay, why are you buying? Why are you selling? And what will that do for you and or your family? So you want to get to know these people because it can also determine if the house is a good fit for them or the land. Because some people say, well, I want to be closer to this school. And you're like, well, it's actually 30 minutes from there, so you want to make sure that you're getting to know your client. and you're asking all of the right questions. Post lead follow-up. So when two-way communication is established, so they're reaching out to you, you're reaching out to them, the lead becomes a contact in your database. So you want to move the person from 19 to connect to 36 to convert them into a sold listing or buyer. You want to cement the relationship. And this is just a little diagram of how you can do that. So lead capture. So you're going to capture your lead and capture your buyer or seller or both through prospecting and marketing. Then they're going to go into your database and transition from a lead, and you're going to form that relationship and tailor that relationship. And then they're going to convert into a contact, and you want to work on strengthening that existing relationship. Then from there, you're going to cultivate that contact for conversion, and you're going to make sure that they are interactive and have needs-based offerings. Then down to new and repeat and referrals. So it's just a cycle of clients, getting them sold, keeping in contact, and then getting referrals from them or helping them buy and sell again. I've had investors where I've sold them 5 properties, and they're just a constant contact. So you will get those throughout your career.
Got a quick question. So just looking for your thought on it. So I have some pretty powerful database tools available to me through my team. I'm lucky. I've got some stuff where I can do some pretty aggressive like geo farming through like Land Voice and things like that.
Okay.
What's your take? Because like I almost feel like it should be illegal to know that much information about somebody, but um, what's your take on putting those into my database anyways, even though I don't know who they are, I've never talked to them, but it's information available to me that I can then have down the road for something. Like, would you recommend taking the time to fill that into my database, or is that just something I should keep on the side to kind of have for a rainy day?
I would fill it into your database and maybe you do it gradually. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to do 15 minutes a week of adding these people into my database because
Yeah,
15 minutes might get you 20 plus people in there.
because I haven't even been able to tag my entire data dump I did for my cell phone when I first started yet. Like that's just so
Yes,
I'm
it is
trying to
a
weed
lot.
through that.
It is a lot. Actually, I was in I was in Italy last year and I was on vacation. I was going through like 2 really rough deals and my 2-year-old threw my phone into the pool. And I lost every contact and my phone
No.
restarted every 60 seconds. So I had to go back in and get as my phone was like restarting, I was like, okay, I have 60 seconds and I had to get all my contacts and put them on my new phone. And I was like, this reminds me of having to do my database all over again. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But
So
once you do it, it's in there. So I would focus on finishing your personal database. And then when you have that all done, I would start adding those new people because even though you don't know them, we don't know. They could be thinking, they could wake up and think, I wonder who's a real estate agent that can help me buy a house. And then boom, you reach out to them. So you really never know. And sometimes it
good.
takes, like 50 reaches to 50 different people for you to get one sale, but it's worth it, and then maybe those other people might become leads in the future if they're not right.
Cool.
So I
Yeah,
would
no,
definitely
just
do
was
that.
looking, yeah, just looking for your insight on that. So, because I mean, it's a pretty aggressive tool. Like now that I've finally gone through the training and learned how to use it, I was just like, wow, this is
Yeah,
intense.
that's a really good tool, and I would definitely take advantage of having the ability to use that information. And again, you definitely can get potential leads from that. And then they might reach out to you just out of curiosity. Hey, how did you know this? So, everything counts and that all works. So I think that's a great idea.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So this is just going over the one to cement a high value touch that solidifies the relationship you have just established and opens the door for future interactions. So you want at least one of those. You want a high value touch. This is an aha. I'm not really sure what that even means. Maybe it's my age group, but I think we've really gone over a lot of different examples throughout. And then this is Ignite Your Command, and this is emails, and this is just a little video you can watch. I'll play it for everyone. Does everyone want to watch it?
Yeah, let's watch.
Okay, let's do it.
Sure.
Oh gosh, do I have to sign up for this? Let's see. I don't know what this is. Sign up.
I don't know what that is. I've never
So
seen
maybe
that
we can't
before.
watch the video because I don't know what that is. Also, where did my PowerPoint go?
That's very strange.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Well, I guess we're not watching the video. Okay, let me open this up. Okay. Success system. So this is your daily success system, and you can kind of use this as your own template. So how many conversations did you have? How many contacts did you add? How many handwritten notes did you make? Did you create the social media engagement? What have the enrichments been? So this is just a really good template to have. So when you put aside your 30 minutes for the week or whatever, whatever your goal is, depends on your schedule and your free time. You want to make sure that you're noting, okay, who did I reach out to? Who answered the phone and who had a conversation with me? How many contacts did I get added into my database? Just like what Jeffrey was saying, he had a bunch of contacts he could add and he had all this information for people. So, I mean, I think even having a goal of 10 or 15 each time you're putting that side away is a really good goal. And yeah, having the handwritten notes, again, like birthday cards or, writing to someone like I do for closings. I write a nice handwritten note and people put it on the refrigerator and they keep it and they think of me when they go to sell. And in my cards that I give at closing, I also do some business cards so that I do like 5 so that they can hand it out to other people, friends, family, coworkers, whoever. Okay, so we were talking about this. When you're making those cold calls, and you're reaching out to people, you just want to be careful and you want to respect the do not call list. Um, you know, so it says do not call do's and don'ts. Under federal law, sellers and telemarketers may not call individuals listed on the Federal Trade Commission's do not call, which is DNC, registry. Failure to comply with the DNC laws could result in substantial government fines and or civil legal actions. So definitely be careful. We do have a Keller Williams Facebook page, which has been extremely helpful. And I could have sworn this morning, or maybe it was last night, I saw someone just ask for how to get access to the do not call registry so you can just make sure that you're not calling anyone on there. So there is a resource for that. And then it says, consult an attorney regarding compliance with DNC laws if you have any questions. Subscribe to the registry. So the DNC registry is hosted on a dedicated website. Your market center should subscribe to the registry and give your login credentials. Making any telemarketing calls without access to the registry violates federal law. Honor consumer requests. So never call a number on that registry. Honor their request to be added to your internal do not call list. So if you call someone, they're like, don't call me again. Probably should not call them again. Check before you call. So before making a call, check to make sure they're not on the national or the state do not call list. And then make sure that they're not on any market center or agent lists to not call. If the number's on any of those lists, delete it. Don't call them again. Or don't call them ever. And then just be aware that there are penalties. So penalties for do not call violation total up to $43,280 per call. That's a lot of money. not worth it. Fines for violating a state do not call rule can vary from $100 to $25,000. It's a lot of money that can go towards other marketing. So just make sure that you're doing your due diligence and making sure that you're not calling anyone on that list. So get help. Use command and answers.kw.com to get help. So if you have any tech questions, command is a really helpful source, as is the answers.kw.com. So just make sure you're taking advantage of all the resources that Keller Williams offers, because there is a lot of resources that we have, which is one of the reasons why I joined Keller Williams, because they're constantly wanting to help out their agents. And there's a lot of support here. So make sure that you're using that and taking advantage of it. And if you have any questions, you could let me or another agent know. You could reach out in that Facebook group, or you can reach out to the admins directly, because they're so helpful and very responsive. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. So we've been going over this throughout, but really what real estate is about helping other people achieve their goals. I have people who are like, I need a house tomorrow. I'm getting, they're selling my rental, or, I need a house because I'm having a baby, so on and so forth. And so really, it's a very rewarding job. And, at the end of the day, you're here to help people change their life, and get into better situations. I mean, that can even be said for investors. So, do you want to make sure that every experience is a positive experience, even when people and clients or leads are acting very negatively or being rude? All you can do is just, be nice, be genuine, and just, be respectful. And people will remember that. And I've had people who have even acted crazy, and I was calm and composed, and they've fought with me, and they've referred clients to me. So, just always be yourself and be genuine, and people will be happy to be in that relationship with you and to have you as their resource and their real estate agent. Celebrate successes. This is so key. I think rewarding yourself is really important, especially, in this career where, you're really a like I'm trying to think of the word, but you own your own business, you're a small business owner. So you want to celebrate those successes, and you want to take the time to, celebrate the goals that you've achieved. So even sometimes where you're like, okay, I'm having a steak dinner tonight, whatever makes you feel that it keeps you motivated. And obviously don't go out and buy a Ferrari after your first closing, but have it to where you're like, okay, I've really been wanting this pair of shoes, and I can wear them every day to work. Like, celebrate yourself, and don't feel bad on rewarding yourself. Also, though, be responsible. But I think it's really important to celebrate your successes, and sometimes getting yourself a small gift is a great way to keep yourself motivated and know that you're doing the right thing. Like as an example of things I've done is like I've taken my kids on a small trip. Like we're going to, I don't know, like Legoland or something. Because that's part of the reason why I'm in this career, is to support my family and make sure my kids are having a good life growing up. So, definitely take the time to celebrate yourself and reward yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, it's one of the big reasons of continuing within this career, is it keeps you going, because it can be easy to get burnt out sometimes. Especially when you hit 5 years, like you're really, really busy, and it's important to take time to yourself and for yourself. And also to celebrate yourself, no matter how long you've been in it. So if you had a really tough deal and you were like, I don't know how we're ever going to get through this, and then you close, you should go out and reward yourself and celebrate the success that you've had, because you made something that at one point you felt was impossible, and you made it achievable. So, I think that's again, a really important part of, this career and just life in general. So don't be afraid to celebrate your successes in life. All right, so next up, prepare for your next session, which is going to be section 11, and you're going to be going over following up with leads. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Let me see if I can. I don't think I need to share this anymore. No questions? Well, I'm glad everyone joined. This was definitely, it was good meeting you guys. And again, I'm completely on the other side of the state. So if you ever have any questions or need any help or you need any referrals, or again, I can refer people to you that may be a good fit. It's good to meet everyone and get to know each other.
That's a quick one today. Usually they're a couple hours.
Well, it didn't have that many slides on this one. I haven't been to the others. I think, was Sam doing one? Did she?
Her last name?
Sam?
Yeah, Sam Catterall. She
Yeah.
did the
Yeah.
social media.
I was gonna say she did. I think she
That was
did the
last
social
Friday.
media one. She's really good at the social media.
I know she's everywhere. And now that I like met her and I followed her, I'm like, man, she's all over the place.
She's really good at social media. She's really, really talented in making all the posts and videos. So I bet that was a really good one to be on.
It was good.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Taylor. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
you're
teaching.
welcome. Yeah, it was good meeting you all. And like I said, we can keep in touch. So if you have questions throughout your career or, if I have anyone looking in your areas, I'm happy to send them your way.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys are doing really good. And it's really nice and reassuring to hear that you guys are on top of your database and networking. So just honestly, just keep doing what you're doing and keep tailoring those relationships because they will inevitably turn into clients. And being a server, that's like, I was a server before. That's like the top career to transitioning into real estate. So you've already, I'm sure, got the hospitality skills. So it'll be really exciting for you, especially once you fully convert into real estate. I think you're going to do really well, both of you and Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Good.
I was looking to, what I could have for transferable skills, and it's definitely my ability as a saleswoman, essentially, selling things to my table, selling. I'm the top salesperson in my restaurant, consistently bring the highest sales and make the most money out of anybody that works with me. I'm a hustler at heart, and I'd love to transfer that over into a way to help people besides giving them a great experience at dinner. I
Oh
have
my
that
gosh,
connection with
yes.
people. I've been in hospitality for 27 years. I know how to talk to people. I know that each person is different and that, I have to make an assessment on how to proceed with each table individually. I don't just act like a robot. I, assess everybody. And now some people want to talk to me, some people don't want to talk to me. And I have a very good set of people skills already at my core. So I know that that's gonna help me.
We've got MVP of the year right here. I sense it.
I'm trying.
No, you guys are doing, like, you both are doing so well. And I think you're going to do really, really good. The fact that you're just in here today is already showing that, you're on the right track. So I'm excited to see what happens with both of your careers.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Look forward to meeting
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was good meeting you. Have a good rest of your morning.
You too.
Thank you.